Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. With our eyes fixated on the incredible ancient architecture, visitors to the Great Pyramid may not notice there is a small locked metal doorway in the corridor between the Grand Gallery and the Antechamber, on your way to the King's Chamber. It's clear to see on the many walkthrough videos on the Great Pyramid on YouTube, but it's often unmentioned, unnoticed or overlooked. So, in this video, which is a huge update to the one I released more than 18 months ago, I'm not just going to explain what it is, why it's there and what it leads to, but at the end of this video, for the first time ever, I'll show you full video footage of how it looks inside. Just like when I released the pictures from the Queen's Chamber northern shaft, once again I'm hopefully filling a missing gap in our view of the Great Pyramid. It's part of the pyramid that's closed off to the public, and for that reason, I've seen a number of people speculate over the years that the authorities are hiding something inside. In 1998, a story was even published in the Daily Mail claiming the tunnel behind the doorway had seen some new activity. It said that a British researcher had claimed the Egyptian authorities were secretly excavating the Great Pyramid, and through this tunnel they had found 3 new chambers. But the story was bogus, and the researcher that was quoted felt inclined to release a statement because of all the errors and misquotes in the story. He really just wanted to highlight the fact that this entranceway had seen no activity in recent years, and he just wondered why, adding some mild speculation. In truth, the tunnel is closed off because, well, there really is no reason to go inside. Not only does it house important ventilation equipment, but it's also not an original part of the pyramid. It's not part of the original architectural plan. It's an excavation that was dug in the early 19th century by Italian explorer Giovanni Caviglia. The crude excavation is also well documented. We can see it here on this drawing by John Perring, who labels it Forced by Caviglia, and we can see that the tunnel follows the course of the northern air shaft. It's also recorded in the writings of Howard Weiss in his book titled Operations Carried On at the Pyramids of Giza in 1837, Volume 1. Caviglia had worked at Giza, first for Henry Salt and then for Weiss, and early on in Weiss's book, he explains why Caviglia excavated this part of the pyramid. It's all to do with the King's Chamber air shafts. In the early 1800s, nobody knew where they led to, whether to undiscovered chambers or to the edge of the pyramid. By all accounts, Caviglia was somewhat obsessed by the 2 air shafts because he wanted to understand their purpose and where they led to, and so, without wanting to smash through the northern wall of the King's Chamber, Caviglia dug towards the shaft from the neighbouring corridor. Caviglia had started work even before he met Howard Weiss in 1836, and according to Weiss, Caviglia firmly believed that these small air shafts led to other so far undiscovered chambers in the pyramid, and so a great deal of time and effort went into the excavation. Under the direction of Howard Weiss, Caviglia was told to continue the work in the hope they would find hidden chambers in the pyramid. But sadly for him, this was not successful. In February 1837, Weiss wrote, quote, "The excavation along the course of the channel near the King's Chamber was discontinued from the great difficulty attending it. The candles would scarcely burn, not more than 6 inches were cut out in 24 hours, and I knew from examination that at least 35 feet remained without any opening or apartment. The connection between the upper and lower parts of this channel was not then ascertained, but even if it had, a communication from it to other chambers was highly probable." End quote. So the work was done because there was hope the air shaft led to another chamber, And that's probably because Cavilla had previously burned sulphur, ropens and pitch in the lower part of it, to try and find out where the smoke came out of on the pyramid. But no smoke was seen on the pyramid's exterior, and so to Giovanni Cavilla, it was safe to assume the smoke was accumulating elsewhere in the pyramid, in another chamber. In truth, and as documented in my video on the Great Pyramid Mankiller Tunnel, the upper section of the northern air shaft, where the shaft leaves the pyramid, was completely blocked up with sand, rocks and rubble. It was John Perring who discovered the point where the northern air shaft left the pyramid, and although the shaft was blocked when it was found, by May 15th, 1837 it was clear. After the clearance, boring rods and also water passed through the shaft freely, from top to bottom, and so it was now clear the air shaft did not lead to any undiscovered chamber in the pyramid. This is a picture taken in 1978, and here we can see the actual northern air shaft that was dug out by Cavilla. In this picture we can see the floor of Cavilla's tunnel and the crude steps that are dug in the limestone, following the northern air shaft as it rises up through the pyramid. So that's the context behind this cavity, but we get more information and also pictures from Rudolf Gantenbrink, who worked in the Great Pyramid in the 1990s. In 1992, Zahi Hawass agreed to close the pyramid for a week, as long as Gantenbrink could guarantee success in improving the ventilation of the pyramid. The upper section of the northern air shaft was once again full of debris, so using a self-styled battering ram, Gantenbrink managed to clear the shaft, sending hundreds of kilos of dust and debris down into Cavilla's tunnel below. The interior of the pyramid was clouded in dust for several hours, but for the first time in a very long time, the King's Chamber northern shaft was clear. Gantenbrink could now send up his robot to explore the finer details of the shaft, but because Cavilla had cut into a large part of the northern air shaft, the robot could not be launched from the King's Chamber, but it had to be from Cavilla's tunnel instead. If you launch any kind of robot from the King's Chamber, in just a few feet it would fall down into Cavilla's tunnel. After exploring the full length of the shaft, Gantenbrink and his team would then build a solid brick wall at the end of Cavilla's tunnel, and this was to firmly fit a large ventilator into the pyramid, as we can see right here. The ventilation system reduced humidity considerably, and, in truth, Gantenbrink had saved the Great Pyramid from future damage caused by humidity. So, that's a brief history of Cavilla's tunnel, and, as you can see, there is really no secret surrounding it. People are not allowed in because it houses the main ventilation system for the pyramid, and it's just a crude excavation that was created in the 19th century. But still, it is great to have some footage of the interior. It was given to me quite some time ago, and I've had it cleaned up and improved, and now I'll show you exactly how it looks behind the locked door inside the Great Pyramid. This may well be the only footage of this part of the pyramid on the internet, so like the pictures I acquired and released of the Queen's Chamber northern shaft, once again I'd like to fill a missing gap in our view of the Great Pyramid. So that's how it looks inside. No, it's nothing spectacular, but it is part of the history of the Great Pyramid. No, not the ancient, but the recent. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.